folks, and welcome to yet another episode of Rico the Gearhead YouTube channel. Now do consider subscribing and hitting that notification bell so that you're updated whenever we post a new episode. Also give this video a like, it does help us a lot and helps get this content to as many people as we can. Now for today's video, I did realize that the previous one that we did about the Tekken 250 review did no justice when it came to the comparison to other 250cc bikes out there. Now please know that this comparison will be in a generalized form in terms of use and not from the type of bike or rather than the class of bikes. Well, I do know it's more of a dual sport bikes, but we'll be comparing it to other bikes which are nakeds, dual sports, other bikes in the 250cc class. We do not have as many 250cc bikes of the same category, especially in that class. So because most of you really wanted to know how the bike compared to other bikes in the same 250cc class, we'll be comparing it to the likes of the Benelli TNT and the TRK 251S, the Xpulse 200, the Zantes 200J, the Kibo K250, and of course the Raleigh 250 for starters, because those are the most requested bikes in my DMs, also in the comments. Now we'll be also comparing them in terms of price, performance, accessories, build quality, comfort, and of course looks. Now for round 1, we do have the Benelli versus the Tekken. When it comes to price, a brand new TNT will set you back about 285,000 Kenya shillings, which to me is a bit cheaper as compared to the Tekken, which sells at 295,000 Kenya shillings. So that is 1 point for Benelli. But when it comes to performance, the TNT is more well refined and has a bit more character to it. Now the Benelli TNT does produce 24 horsepower and 21 Newton meters of torque, whereas the Tekken produces just a merely 17 horsepower and also 17 Newton meters of torque. Now the TNT has an overall better speed than the Tekken, and also when it comes to comfort and the riding quality, the Benelli does take again the cake, as it is more comfortable and it has a good handlebar to arm length, and also its rider and pillion accommodation is quite ideal. The Tekken, however, does feel a bit squeezed, especially when you have a pillion on board, and with its small stature and shorter wheelbase, it does make it a bit of a challenge, especially when you're going too up. Now for off-road capability, it is more towards the Tekken than the TNT or even the TRK, which is more of a sport touring bike than an off-road bike or even a dual sport bike, but which is not to mean that it cannot do, but it's not very good at it. When it comes to accessories, of course the Tekken does tick it all because it comes with panniers and crash bobbins already installed. Whereas for the Benelli TRK 251S, the price does go up to about 320,000 Kenya shillings as per the last pricing, if I remember correctly. And however, you do get aluminium top boxes and panniers for that extra price, but you do not get any crash bobbins installed. That will also come as an extra mod for you, of course bumping up the price. Well, as for the looks, it all depends on what moves your soul, and in my own opinion, I do think the Benelli looks better and also wins on this round. For round 2, we do have the Xpulse versus the Tekken. Now I haven't ridden the Xpulse, but from the reviews that I've seen, there are two types, the BS4 and the BS6. There is little to no difference in all the two bikes except for maybe the styling, but in this case I will be comparing it with the BS6 because that is what available online, or rather which has most information. Now the Xpulse has a 199.6cc single oil cooled engine that produces 17.8 horsepower and 16.45 Newton meters of torque, which is not that bad comparing it with the Tekken, which has a similar power figures and it has 50cc's more. Now the downside is that the Xpulse is a 5-speed, whereas the Tekken is a 6-speed. When it comes to looks, of course the Tekken wins, and the Tekken wins again when it comes to accessories because of the extras that comes with it. The Xpulse does win when it comes to electronics, which because it has better lighting, it is even fuel injected, whereas the Tekken is carbureted. For the performance, I can only speculate, but the Xpulse does cost about 303,000 Kenya shillings, which is a bit more expensive than the Tekken 250. In this case, despite being head to head, I do consider this to be a stalemate, with the Xpulse having a slight better edge as compared to the Tekken. Anyway, what do you think, which bike actually won this round? Let me know in the comment section below. So for round 3, we do have the Zantes 200J versus the Tekken 250. Now here I'm sure I will offend some people, but wacha tu tuseme as it is. When it comes to for performance, I can't exactly judge because the Zantes 200J is lighter and takes off quite as fast. Now unless you do have a physical head-to-head, I can only speculate, but when it comes to build quality, accessories, suspension, comfort, and looks, Tekken does take it all. For obvious reasons, of course. However, the Zantes 200JE comes at a very cheap price, which goes for 198,000 Kenya shillings, well as compared to the Tekken 295 from Zingli Motorcycle, or whichever bike brand you're going to be buying it from. But then again, you do pay what you do get for what you pay for. Round 4, we do have the Kibo K250 versus the Tekken 250. Now this one is a bit tricky because both of them are in the same class and of the same type. Now the Kibo K250 produces 17 horsepower and comes from a 250cc oil and air-cooled engine. But when you look at the specs, they are almost quite similar. However, the Kibo K250 is slightly heavier at 145 kilograms, whereas the Tekken is about at 135 kilograms. Now the Kibo has a bigger load-bearing capacity of up to 250 kgs, which is more than what I think the Tekken can be able to comfortably carry. Now when it comes to styling, of course, the Tekken takes it for obvious reasons. And now the downside of the Kibo is rather its short gearing ratios and of course having a 5-speed gear transmission. But when it comes to accessories, now this actually does depend on your intended use and where you mean to travel. But then again, it's all about your preference. The Kibo K250 so far is the most expensive bikes from those that we've listed up today, as it goes for around 359,000 Kenya shillings, which is almost 100,000 Kenya shillings more than the Tekken. By the way, which between the Kibo and the Tekken wins against each other in this category? For round 5, we do have the Raleigh 250 versus the Tekken 250. Again, I haven't ridden this bike as of yet, but I can only speculate and judge from what I find online, which isn't much. The Raleigh 250 comes at around 250,000 Kenya shilling mark and comes with an engine which is 230cc air-cooled, which produces 16 horsepower and 18 Newton meters of torque, which is slightly lower than the Tekken when it comes to power delivery, but it has a bit of torque still. The Raleigh has the highest and also the highest ground clearance and also is the lightest of all the bikes that we've listed up today, with a kilogram weight of 133. And now from the looks in the pictures, it does seem to be quite plasticky and not really a bit of a sound build quality. But hey, I'm only speculating here, so don't come from my head. Anyway, I won't touch on the ride quality as I haven't ridden the bike as of yet. Accessory wise, of course, the Tekken wins this round. But if you're not for the accessories, I do think the Raleigh would be a better choice, as it's cheaper and offers almost the same performance as the Tekken. So in this case, the Raleigh does win. The final round is the SYM 200 versus the Tekken 250. Now the bike comes with a 183cc liquid-cooled single-cylinder that produces 18 horsepower and 15.7 Newton meters of torque, and it's also a bit on the heavier side, coming in at about 152 kilograms, and with an overall seat height of 818 millimeters. When compared to the Tekken, it wins in almost all categories, from the braking system to the suspension and fuel delivery. The SYM seems to be better, even though there have been rumors about its reliability. On paper, it does seem to be quite a decent bike. Now the newer 21 and 2022 models do come with ABS as standard, and that really comes in handy, especially in tricky situations. Now it's a good starter to the beginner adventure bike category, but I do think its main rival or competitor is actually the Benelli TRK 251. When it comes to price, well, of course, this is more expensive, coming in at 339,000 Kenya shillings, the second most expensive bike in today's category. Now, in all honesty, I do think the Tekken loses in this one. So there you have it, folks, a trial in-depth review of the new Tekken FORZA 250 against some of the 250cc bikes you guys requested. And I do hope this video answers most of your questions, and if you do have any more or would like me to compare it to another bike, let me know in the comment section below. I do love reading and replying to all your comments. Thank you so much for watching. Like, share and subscribe if you haven't. We're almost at 5,000 subscribers and soon we'll be at 10,000. Anyway, stay safe, ride safe, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.